I need to buy pumpkins for my background because Halloween is around the corner. Welcome back in, everybody, to One Piece Chapter 1163. The full spoilers have dropped. If you have not checked them out for yourself, I'll be linking it down below as per usual, so you can check it out there if you want. Because today, we're just here to talk about this chapter and have some fun with it. And brother, is this fun. A combined attack against IMU? Dude. Roger, Garp, Whitebeard, Kaido, Big Mom, Rocks. They all come together to land one devastating blow on the King of the World. Or, as Rocks likes to call him, the King of Rats, which I think is very interesting. So, getting right into it, I do want to tackle this somewhat chronologically. We start off with the cover page. And we got Luffy jumping in between buildings with some monkeys. Monkey see, monkey do. Okay, I was hoping like some kind of stupid joke would come in there, but nothing really flowed. Yeah, we're gonna get a lot of these for the next couple of weeks until we get the next cover page story reveal. I think we're gonna go to Egghead Island and maybe hang out with Stussy, Sentomaru, Vegapunk, or maybe even the VAs. But until then, we're stuck with this. On to the chapter now. We see IMU Saturn is moving around and they look at Rocks and they straight up call them Davy Jones. And that's awesome, dude. I really wish that we would have gotten a Davy Jones silhouette or something from IMU's perspective, because I wonder what the world looks like through their eyes. For somebody who's been alive for 900 years, who's looking at all these descendants of clans and Ds, it's like, yo, IMU's seeing something completely different than what we're seeing, right? I do wonder, though, if this will be like a spitting image kind of situation where we go back to the Void Century and Davy Jones looks like Rocks and Blackbeard, and then maybe like Joy Boy looks like Luffy or etc. I feel like that's what we're gearing up towards, because when you think about the Void Century and how many characters Oda will have to reintroduce, it's like, yeah, like he's probably going to recycle some designs, or at least have a lot of similarities between those characters and our characters, so we know who the hell's related. But yes, Rocks calls IMU King of the Rats, and while that may seem like a simple diss, in my opinion, I do wonder if there's something deeper there. And the reason why is because we know that Rocks has a lot of information about the world. Hell, he knew about IMU's existence, right? He knows about the 2 fruits you need to take over the world. It's like, yeah, like I wonder if maybe Davy Jones left something about the King of Rats and that's why he goes to that insult right away. Because if not, that sounds really random, right? Like, IMU hasn't done anything ratty yet. So I think there will be some weight to this diss, but we'll see. Rocks talks about how IMU has the wrong person, how he's not Davy Jones, he's never even met him, but he does agree that a promise ought to be kept. And we talked about this the other day, but I'm going for the straight and simple answer for this one. I think the promise is simply that Rocks, or Davy Jones, promised that they would take down IMU. They said that this is not your world. And IMU says, well, that is why you all need to be erased, completely eradicated from history. Mu's world is not yet completed, which I think is fascinating, right? I get the whole part where he's like, yeah, I gotta erase the D clan and the Davy clan, etc. But what do you mean by your world is not complete yet? Right? Like, what else does IMU want? Does he just want a perfect society? Is he aiming for some greater goal that we haven't seen yet entirely? I think that could be it. You know, we do gotta wonder, like, what are the God Knights doing when they're not going around obliterating islands? Like, okay, what are they up to? Same with IMU, right? IMU doesn't leave Marie's Raw. Are they working on some sort of greater project? It kind of reminds me of Enel. Not saying that this is the case, but, you know, Enel was holed up in Skypiea for all these years, and then we come to find out that the reason why is because he's working on the Arc Maxim. Maybe IMU has something similar going on where they're building something in the background, or they're trying to create this perfect utopia. One great example of something not being completed yet after hundreds of years would be the Tequila Wolf Bridge, right? We have that bridge in 4 different parts of the seas, and they're not done yet. They've been building that for hundreds of years. Maybe that right there has something to do with Mu's completed world? We'll see. I thought that was like my main like mystery of this chapter. Like, okay, what does it take to be completed, really? We see that Garp arrives at the scene while Rocks and IMU are fighting, and they're not too sure what to do, right? The Marines say, Garp-san, should we provide backup? Garp says, yeah, of course we should. And then the Marines say, but who do we back up here? And I think what makes this very easy for Garp to side with Rocks is the fact that Imu, when they first came to this island, started attacking not just pirates, but Marines too. I don't get why the Gorosei do this. Like, they're not putting their best foot forward. It's like Egghead Island. This is the thing I go to immediately. But on Egghead, Saturn was blowing heads off of Marines. They were using Conqueror's haki, which didn't affect the strats, but instead just affected the Marines on the island too. It's like, I don't get why the Gorosei are doing this. Like, here's the thing. Mars said, ah, yes, the lives of insects, it doesn't matter to us. I get it. I do. But those insects are still working for you, brother. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's super silly, and I think that is why it's easy for Garp to side with Rocks. Because Imu, first up, he doesn't know what the hell this is, right? He's never seen Imu before. And two, Imu is attacking his boys. So, we go over to the Roger and Rocks pirates who are in the valley. And I gotta admit, as hype as the end of the chapter is, I really enjoyed this middle portion. Captain John is confirmed, which we kind of already assumed, but it's completely confirmed now that he has the Jiki no Mi Eustace Kid's Devil Fruit. He is using the power to collect all the treasure on the island, which is perfect for him, right? We know that he has some sort of grand treasure after this island as well. And mind you, that was the same treasure that Buggy was looking for pre-time skip, which he never found. I do wonder if Captain John's treasure will ever come back into the story at some point, because that felt like a really big thing back in the day. Remember that? Oh, you went to Thriller Bark and boom, Captain John's armband, which is a pose that'll take you to his treasure. Buggy was looking for it, he got arrested, Buggy got the pose from Luffy, and then that's it. You know, did Buggy ever find it? Is he still looking for it? That's a big mystery. But yes, Captain John is using the Jiki no Mi to collect all the jewels and gems for himself. But that is when Ganzui witnesses this, and he's like, whoa. I want the treasure for myself. So he attacks Captain John with the Bamu no Mi. Mr. Five's Devil Fruit. What a throwback, man. What a throwback. Bamu no Mi. I thought that was always a really cool idea for a fruit, right? It's kind of like a Gladius from Doflamingo's crew, where he just kind of constantly explodes himself. But this is like, okay, you can throw the explosions, right? You can make things explosive. Amazing stuff. But here's the thing about the Bamu no Mi. It's disgusting. It's genuinely a nasty devil fruit. Back during Whiskey Peak, Mr. Five uses fruit with his boogers. It was in conjunction with his dried snot. Like, he would pick his nose, flick it at somebody, and then it would explode. I thought that was always really gross. And Ganzui is kind of following that same thing, where Ganzui is shooting dried mucus at Captain John. It's like, yo, is that just how the fruit works? Is there no diversity in this? It has to be bodily fluids? What is going on here? So yes, Ganzui uses a really cool attack name, which is called Sky Snake Red Cannon. And he blows Captain John up, and that's it. Captain John goes down in a singular blow. The will of the Jiki no Mi is insane. I don't know what to even think about this. I mean, dude, a user of the Jiki no Mi losing in a single hit to somebody with the Bamu? Hey, maybe Captain John, kind of like Captain the Kid, they don't have the best durability. That's not even true. Kid has great durability. Captain John, one attack? You kidding me? Oh man, that's insane, dude. Yeah, that's insane. So I guess Ganzui doesn't die on this island, because we know, like, you know, out of all the Rocks pirates, Ganzui is one of the first ones that goes down. But it looks like he doesn't die here. He actually makes it out all right. We see, because Captain John was initially using his Devil Fruit to magnetize all the treasure and metals and etc., Dragon also got dragged during this whole scene. He was pulled towards Captain John, but of course, after Captain John was defeated, Dragon fell to the ground. And because of that, Dragon and Shanks ended up getting separated. Shanks, the super sentient one-year-old baby, decides to hop inside a treasure chest themselves. What? It's so funny, right? We, the community, and I say that because I held a poll, and I think 90% of people thought that Dragon would eat a fruit here because he puts Shanks in a chest. We all had that notion, right? There were some naysayers, and I think that's pretty cool, right? People were against the grain there. But it was like, okay, like, yeah, you know, we know Dragon has a powerful devil fruit. We know that Shanks gets in a chest. We know that these chests are filled with devil fruits. It felt like 1 + 1 = 2, right? You're like, okay, that has to be it. No, Shanks goes in there by themselves. What? That's absolutely insane. Of course, I don't think this means that Dragon will not eat a devil fruit here. Because you gotta imagine, right? Next chapter, when we see Dragon again, I'm pretty sure he's gonna wonder where Shanks went. Like, it's not like he dropped Shanks and he's like, time to get off the island. No, I think he will look for Shanks, and maybe that leads him to a treasure chest where he opens it up and boom, devil fruit. I don't know. I just don't think this is the end of Dragon's story here. There's gonna be more. There's gonna be more. So we cut back over to Rox, Garp, and Emu, and of course the Marines are telling Garp not to attack Saturn because he is the highest authority of the WG. Okay, wow. Beanies are so crazy, dude. Garp says, oh, that vermin? That's a part of the WG, which again goes back to the rat thing, right? Rox called Emu Saturn a rat, and Garp kind of backs it up. So I wonder if maybe they just look like a rat. I'm not too sure. Kaido, of course, who is still there, begins asking Rox if he can have a go at Saturn as well. But that is when Lin arrives with Zeus, and they attack Kaido. Lin is very angry because he stole her devil fruit that was meant for Katakuri. And it's a nice scene, brother. All of the top tiers are freaking gathering. A lot of people pointed this out yesterday, and I thought it was a really good observation. But Zeus is here. You know, Zeus knows about Emu. I swear, man. The Straw Hats, after this arc, we really need to sit down. They're not going to do it, by the way. This is way too meta. But genuinely, I think at the end of each arc, they should sit down and just share stories, you know, share lore relevant things to each other. Because let me tell you, man, they got so much info here. Zeus could literally tell them about all of this. Forget Loki giving a flashback. Zeus, where's the flashback, man? But then again, Zeus is kind of stupid, so maybe he just forgot. Either way. Everybody arrives, even Roger arrives. They're all ready to attack Emu, and we get it. According to Redon, could be hyperbole, but he says, in one of the most epic double pages in One Piece, Garp, Roger, Rox, Newgate, Kaido, Lin attack Emu together. And these guys, like the attack, it's not like, oh, you know, here's a punch. No. These guys are whipping out their namesakes. They're whipping out the final attacks, bro. Garp with Galaxy Impact. Roger with Kamusari. Rox, first named attack with Pandemonium. Great name. Apparently the kanji means Cursed Abyss. Newgate, Whitebeard, very first named attack in the entire series. Postmortem. Hakua, Space Breaker. And then Lin, of course, with the Kaku Sovereignty. And Kaido, who just got his new Dragon Devil Fruit, he uses an attack called Dragon, which, I excuse it. I mean, he just ate it like maybe 3 minutes ago, so he doesn't have any names ready. So yeah, he uses a placeholder here. A little bit silly, but I love it. They all attack Emu, and they destroy Emu's body. But here's the thing. Emu regenerates. Emu, just like all the others, can regenerate. What's interesting, though, is that even though regeneration's a thing, we know that Garland got put down for a good minute. We still do not see Garland in this chapter, right? We saw him bleeding. He said, damn it. And it's like, yo, like that attack, even he admits it, that it took a while to actually heal from it because of the Conqueror's haki or whatever else Rox did to him. But here, Emu just takes all these high-level Conqueror haki-laden blows, and they're fine. You know, Emu doesn't say anything about it. Which, let me see. Yeah, Garp has Conquerors, Rox has Conquerors, Roger, New. Everybody here has Conquerors haki. And Emu just comes back. Yeah, Emu comes back, and they unleash a super massive Conquerors haki blast themselves that makes a lot of people at God Valley lose consciousness. Also, you might be wondering, Sai, why did Linlin attack Imu? Well, apparently, the leakers say that Big Mom was trying to attack Kaido, but Kaido dodged. And then, of course, that ended up hitting Imu. So pretty funny stuff. I like how Oda kind of weaved in a joke with the very serious scene. Kind of like Kaido's dragon attack, right? We have all this epicness going on, and then Kaido's just shouting dragon. So, despite everything, Rox continues attacking Imu, and he even manages to cut Imu's body into pieces, but nothing is working. Which, like I said, is pretty crazy considering the fact that this worked against Garland for the most part, right? This worked, but it's not working here. Imu says, Mu can see your wife and son running through the forest. Amazing observation, Haki, by the way. Exactly what I'd expect from a top tier. All right, they've been running for a while, but Imu can sense them from a distance. Rock says, don't you dare touch them. Imu, who is still cut into pieces, then stabs Rox with 2 black tentacles. Interesting, right? Tentacles. I do wonder what that's going to look like. I wonder if it's like Cthulhu-esque or octopus-esque. Because, you know, we've been kind of talking about Cthulhu or like a Davy Jones octopus monster before. I feel like that's been a long-running theory in One Piece. Not for Imu, but like for other characters. So it's interesting to see like tentacles here. But it could just be ambiguous, right? It could just be like shadow tentacles, whatever. Imu says, rest assured, Mu will not be doing anything. Rox then makes fun of Imu's attack, saying, mosquito bite is more painful. But Imu cuts in and says, you will be the one to kill your clan. You're gonna kill your wife and son. Rox says, what? That's absurd, as if I do anything like that. But, of course, we all saw this coming. Everybody knew that somebody was gonna get Domi Reversi. We just didn't know who exactly, right? Rox was the top candidate. And it turns out that was true. Imu uses Domi Reversi, and Rox is flipped. Rox gets flipped. The chapter ends with Rox turning into a demon, fangs are growing, and everything. And we see Eris and Teach running in that last panel. Domi Reversi is broken. I think we can all agree to that. As far as who can avoid Domi Reversi, it might just be Luffy. But it's tough, right? How do you even activate Domi Reversi on somebody? Because we've seen different instances of it. Brogy, arm shot off, boom, Domi Reversi'd, right? So you could say, oh, like he has to hit you, because that's what happens in this chapter, right? Imu draws Rox in by saying he's going to kill his wife and son, stabs Rox, and then Domi Reversi. So hitting somebody could be a requirement. But at the same time, we've seen people get flipped without getting hit. You know, like the Giants on Elbaf. A lot of them got flipped, and they didn't take any damage yet. So there's something going on here. People are saying it could be, you know, the whole name thing of Domi Reversi in the first place because it says, I have returned home. So maybe if it's your homeland, it flips you automatically. But even then, it's like we don't have a big enough pool, in my opinion, to really say if that's the case or not yet. We need to see more instances of it. But yeah, Domi Reversi's crazy. If Rox can get flipped, I feel like pretty much everyone can. I feel like everyone can. I really do hope, though, that Rox keeps some form of consciousness. I hope this is not the end of Rox. I've always believed that Rox would die on this island, so I'm okay with that. I think it's just that Rox, I don't want to see him kill his wife and son. I hope that doesn't happen. Hopefully he gets to them, and then he maybe kills the wife, and then he comes back to normal. Like, I hope he snaps out of it. I hope either Roger, Garp, and the gang beat sense into him, or maybe like his willpower starts coming back. Just something, man. I hope this is not the last we've seen from conscious Xebec. I really don't. And the worst part, right? We can assume that Garp and Roger and all these guys, they're going to try to stop Rox. And if that's the case, you know, if they really all just team up to beat Rox down, that's going to be really tough. Because Imu's there, right? It's not like, oh, Imu's just gone now, right? No, Imu is still there alongside Rox, and we know that Domi Reversi, it makes you stronger. It made Dory and Brogy bigger. And not just that, but when you're Domi Reversi, at least from what we've seen with Brogy, his arm that got chopped off, or, you know, shot off by Imu, it started regenerating. So Rox might have just gotten regeneration powers too here. Like, it's insane what's happening. You know, I think IMU might just go home now. Like, I don't see why they'd stick around unless they just want to watch, which I think they would, right? If I was a 900-year-old demon person stuck in a flower room all day, yeah, I'd probably want to stick around and see what happens, you know? But tough stuff, man. Tough stuff. Great chapter, though. I loved it from start to finish. Maybe not the cover page, but that's just me being pedantic. Yeah, everything here is great. And I cannot wait to see the freaking panels. You know, the panels in a fight chapter are what really matter. So I'm looking forward to it. Let me know all your thoughts about this chapter down below. Of course, in the next couple of days, we will be going through the comment section. So make sure to drop your comment and it might get read. But until then, guys, thank you so much for being here. I really freaking appreciate you guys watching the video all the way to the end. If you have extra time on your hands, I'd really appreciate it if you checked out my side channel over here. At Syvduck, Syvduck. I talk about random anime or whatever's on my mind. I play games there as well, and etc. Also, I got an anime reaction channel titled Somnus, where I react to One Punch Man and One Piece right now. Later, other animes too. Until then, though, you guys take care and peace out and stay safe, brothers.